as well. But this game going into with Impunity, we will be seeing in the first phase of ban that drive immediately taken out of the hero roster.
Yeah, and obviously Blackfeather, then going to be banned away. That makes a lot of sense because Blackfeather seems a bit too strong at the moment. Most teams agree that if you manage to get Blackfeather, it's very hard to play against him. So Renegades happy to pick up the Lyra. They normally banned it away, but this time they'd rather pick it for themselves. Lyra is so good because if you make a mistake, she just completely nullifies that. And if you make an unfavourable trade in lane, then you can just make it better with the healing Vox. Obviously, one of the best counters Lyra because he can get the Poison Shiv, very effective mortal wounds onto the laner or onto the jungler. And now there's a lot of ways Impunity could go. Rhyme is banned. There's no need to ban anything specific. Rhyme doesn't necessarily counter anyone that's now OP. So similarly, if Cruel was banned, then you generally want to ban Rhyme away because Rhyme is so strong if he's not countered by Cruel. And so Impunity really thinking, what kind of comp do you want to run? And they're going to ban away the Petal. That's probably thinking we don't want to face Weapon Petal. It's really good against our Vox. And they've still got a lot of picks Impunity could do. Arden's the most likely captain they're going to want to go for. So Renegades could ban that away now.
Yep, they can probably, the set of Renegades definitely can ban out the Arden or even just the Lance itself. Oh, they are going to go for that Fortress ban, definitely seeing a threat there. As for the Petal ban, Petal is still very strong, although she had a lot of reduction in terms of her defenses, but overall she's still a very, very strong hero as a weapon carry, and going up against Vox in the early game, it will hurt Vox in terms of the poke and farm as well. So Vox, we saw Impunity going on to this Vox yesterday, and they played just so excellent on it. We saw them going for the Poison Shiv into Breaking Point and into 2 Tyrant's Monocle, if I remember correctly, and that build just busted everyone down. And coming out from Impunity, as with the Petal being banned out, we do see a Cruel for themselves.
Yeah, so picked their 2 carries first up. This does indicate that Impunity might want to last pick Churnwalker here. They're not necessarily going to, but Churnwalker's the kind of captain where if the enemy's got the perfect comp for it, you want to be last picking him. So they've left their options open. They've still got Arden as a much more stable meta captain that everyone knows how to play, but also everyone knows how to play against Arden. No one really knows how to play against Churnwalker yet. So if Impunity do decide to pick it up, that would be really interesting. It could work out fantastically for them, especially with Vox bouncing around, Churnwalker chaining everyone around. It would work great. Another thing that works really well with Churnwalker is Cruel's Spectral Smite will just deal massive burst damage to one target, 30% of that goes to another target, but they have got double poke comp for Renegades, so that is not going to be a Churnwalker, or at least I hope not, because he's really good against dive comps. If an enemy dives in, you just chain everyone up and deal massive damage to them, whereas against this double poke, Arden makes a lot more sense, or maybe even a Grace to try and help this Cruel.
Yep, I personally think Arden would be the most sensible choice, if you'd ask me. Only reason being because Arden with a Vanguard, a speed boost, and a slow when you actually use Vanguard on the allies or yourself would help and allow Cruel to catch up onto Skye, a very, very mobile hero. And on top of that, we have the Gauntlet coming out for Arden at level 6. But the side of Impunity will settle for comfortability, and the amount of CCs they can put out with that Lance is just immense and will definitely change the course of team fights if used well, and thus picking up the Lance for themselves. And Lance in this current meta going up against a Lyra, I wouldn't say it is a direct counter, but it does very well against a Skye if you can actually root the Skye and then stun her out with the Gitten Wall. But it's not an easy feat, but if anyone were to pull that off, it would definitely be Impunity.
Yeah, that's the trade-off you have to make with a Lance. It's a really good counter to Skye as long as you can land your abilities. Because Skye is really mobile, can dance around the fold, and so it's exceptionally hard to land a Githim to land an Impale onto Skye. But then once you do, you're rewarded so heavily. Cruel basically gets a free kill if the Impale lands on Skye. Cruel's just gonna kill her, especially if he can get her from Hell's Heart, and she maybe wastes her reflex block, missing the Impale. Such an easy kill, and Cruel will counter Skye so heavily. But in general, Skye is much better than Cruel in a 1v1. Crawl just won't be able to stick on top of her because of the Sui strikes and the constant repositioning. And Arden's much more of a defensive captain versus Lyra. You're trying to keep your carries alive, trying to peel for them with the Vanguard, whereas Lance is a much more aggressive captain, trying to engage the fights, trying to force the enemy to be backing off, giving you the advantageous position.
Yep, and looking over to yesterday's match between Impunity and J3X Inferno, we see something relatively familiar. However, Impunity actually picked up a rhyme for themselves, this time a Cruel. And according to VG Pro, and just looking at Blue City's VG Pro stats, he has a 96 or something % win rate on that Cruel. He's just so very comfortable on that Cruel, so I'll not expect anything less. And from how Vox was actually playing yesterday, he did very well in a 1v1 against a Sky. And generally, Vox in the early game has got a sustain provided by the point and shift. Coming into the mid game, he has got a breaking point, allowing him to build stacks up. And then comes the mid-late game when he completes that one Tyrant's Monocle or even two Tyrant's Monocle, he will just be putting out so much damage. And with the amount of armor just reduced across the boards for all heroes, Vox definitely does well in this current patch. And whether or not we will be seeing a CP Vox, it's another subject altogether. It's highly likely. Yeah,
no.
There you go. We'll probably be seeing double weapon power, as we all know, because of the reduction in armor across the board. You don't quite need to build that, armor pierce or armor shredding bone saw or tension bow anymore. But I'm not surprised if Blue City on this Cruel would just go for the spell sword build that we've been seeing since last patch.
I think it could work going for the spell sword on Cruel. Getting that cooldown reduced on your A really helps engage, really helps close gaps between someone like a Sky and himself. But I would much more expect, as it's likely to be double weapon, I'd much likely expect a bone saw into breaking point kind of build. Lots of utility, lots of ramping damage, but that's what Cruel's designed for. If he gets the bone saw stacks for Vox, then it'll be pretty easy. Or we could even see a bone saw into just tank up and then maybe build a soul blade last item. So it's interesting what they're going to go for build wise. I think Vox will be pretty standard build. Has to be poison shiv first. Has to be breaking point pretty much. We are now loading into the Halcyon Fold for the first game of today. Let us know who you think is going to win. Is it going to be Renegades or is it going to be Impunity?
Please go into the jungle, like you mentioned. Take away the mid camp off the side of Impunity, head down to take the Elder Treant and go back into their rotations. They will be slower, and Castro will probably be forced to head up back into lane because of Vox's ability to clear lane in the early game is just so much better if there's no one there, right? Because of the resonance bouncers and just how fast.
Impunity trying to do something secret. DefQ did not pick up Boots, and neither did Blue Sea, but there's going to be a fight level 1. Descenders wouldn't happen, but it is starting. That's going to be a first kill actually for Weezy on the Lance. Healing Flask was popped by SNK, but it was not enough. DefQ doing the work on Spaghetti. Doing a lot of damage. He's going to try and support Barrage. That's going to be a Healing Flask pop. DefQ has not got his, but he still gets the kill. Shingy going to get impaled. Lovely impaled from Weezy. He's going to fall most likely. No, Healing Flask pops. Will it be enough? DefQ, he's his own Healing Flask, but he's going to fall. And Queasy is the last one standing, with Shingy trying to get the kill, and Shingy's going to try and port, but that's a flare stopping him. Crawl's coming. Bluesty is going to try and get the kill on Shingy. He's going to fall Barrage, but will Bluesty be able to do it? Lovely impale. That should be enough with one Spectral Smite with no stacks, and SNK is going to try and go on Kusi. I said I wanted aggression, and that is about as aggressive as we can be. 5 kills in 1 minute.
5 kills in 1 minute, that is definitely a change up as compared to the first game or before reset. But RNG will be taking the Elder Treant that was fought over by both teams, and I'm really liking the aggression coming out from the side of Impunity now. No doubt they have got the weaker early game comp before even Blue City gets the tension bow. But without a Suri strike, it is quite easy to just root Chingy on a spot, as we constantly see QC doing, and even QC picking up 1 kill for himself and 2 assists, definitely putting himself in a better spot as compared to in the first game.
Yeah, Bluesty going to go aggressive once again. He's going on to SNK this time, taking a lot of that 4 barrage poke though, so he's forced to back off. Did have lock on, which means Bluesty was taking the brunt of Sky's 4 barrage. And yeah, it was a really interesting rotation from Impunity. I like the idea Problem was there was only boots picked up on Lance, so that means they were spotted. Bluesty's going to try and go on Shingy. That's so risky. Shingy's got the Suri Strike. Bluesty's only got Protect Contract, but is it going to be enough? Spectral's might not quite. Lance gets the kill once again. Captain Sneak kills too. It's going to be like a 3-minute fountain for Queasy. He's got so much gold.
Well, early game, yes, he's got so much gold, and if he does manage to steal away this Elder Treant, then whoa, fountain at 3 minutes. Nope. Okay, maybe not so now. He's sitting at 900 gold, not quite enough for a fountain just yet. But when we talk, I'm sure as casters, when we mention aggression, we are kind of talking about the calculated form of aggression, not just blind.
Nah, just go, just dive, just go to the enemy backs and kill them. Go for it, why not?
Well, maybe for you, but when I speak, in my context of aggression, I really just mean calculated aggression, right? Calculated risk definitely will win you the game. If you are just gonna jump in blindly and just try to think that you are the gods of the world, then maybe it'll work out for you if you're OP enough. I don't want to say that, but coming from both of these teams, they work the best when they have the teammates around, and there is no denying that whatsoever. So hopefully,
Spaghetti is caught out by the Cruel and an Impale. Cruel gets the Spectral Smite kill in the end. I think Cruel would have been spotted going to the top bush, but apparently not. He walked past the minions, and Spaghetti maybe wasn't watching the lane at that point. And so Bluesty's able to secure another kill. Elder Treant will despawn at this point, and Bluesty's going to pick up towards that tension bow, but still not quite able to get it. And Queasy does not have the 4-minute fountain, despite having 2 kills. He's still 100 gold away. So if he'd have secured that Elder Treant, it would have been a 4-minute fountain, which would have been pretty OP from Queasy, given the fact that he bought boots and a protector contract. But yeah, it's not to be.
Yep, there you go. 4 minutes and 20 seconds fountain for QC, because he picks up the 2 fronts. The 2 small fronts gave him that, and SNK still not quite getting the fountain yet. Approx 400 gold away, 350 gold away from that fountain. And at this point in time, Impunity once again definitely looking much better as compared to RNG. They can go in for a fight. They can force a fight. Blue City now coming on to lane.
This is even better than before. There isn't even a soul blade on Kestrel. Stopped by the Bullwog, but he's going to go in onto Shingy. Lots of damage being put down, but the Spectral Smite has been used and it was not enough. Lukesty's going quite low. Defq's doing the work onto Spaghetti, forcing him back under title while Defq is still healthy. And this is the same point as before, but better for Impunity. They've got all 3 items up. Poison Shift, Tension Bow, procs onto Spaghetti, does a lot of damage. Another Plague is going to come down. Lukesty's diving turrets. He's diving a second. He's going to get the kill. Defq as well, going so deep for these kills. Now Shingy, the last one left alive of the carries, and she's going to fall. No, Shingy is alive. How is Shingy survived Luxley and the Defq? And Queasy's going to try and do the impale over the turret. And turret does turret things, and Impunity get 2 kills. And look, they're winning this game. They're ahead because of the aggression they're doing.
Yep, because of the aggression, they are ahead, and I was expecting something along these lines in the first game itself, and had they just played like this in the first game, I personally think, and I reckon that it would have just been such a snowball for the side of Impunity. Now Chingy, however, not going for the Dragon's Eye first, and just settling for the Frostbite that we've been talking about. The extra CCs definitely will help the team. You see Blue City constantly just rushing onto your faces, trying to smite your faces, trying to DMR those faces, those pretty faces of yours. With that Frostbite, you can kind of control the amount of aggression coming through from Impunity, or hopefully control the aggression. Now though, whoa!
That's going to be lovely plays by Impunity. In the end, it was a Gideon roll into a from Hell's. Just that was a well executed. SNK really had nothing he could do. Didn't even fountain himself. There was no point. He was probably stunned up as well by that from Hell's Heart. And now Impunity, with this aggression, getting that turret down lower, but they are a little over 1k gold ahead. Going to get another heal and fronts away from Renegades. And it looks like instead of going for the gold mine, because Impunity know Lyra's back up, they're just going to try and siege this turret once again. And there's going to be Bluesty's going in to poke onto SNK. Is he going to be the target once again? That's going to be a silence, but Phantom was already used. Lovely Death and does stun up Defq. One shot, going to hit Bluesty instead, so he's going to be fine. And the turret stays alive. What is the call from Impunity? They're going to start up this gold mine, or they're going to look to hide and fight. Spaghetti going to face shot the bush that QC is in, but no of the other members are. Defq still needs to pick up his bone saw, which he has now done in the shop. and Impunity not quite going to get anything out of that aggression, and that's going to be a nice flare on Spaghetti. Hell does miss, well dodged by Spaghetti, going to get the heal and speed boost by the Imperial Residual. Spaghetti going to back off, and Protector Contract does spot out. They know Call's in the bush now if they were looking very closely. Boosty has been spotted by the 4 barrage. Frostburn slowing him up, but that means Sky doesn't have as much damage as before. Frostburn doesn't give that much extra pistol power anymore. Deftu going to step around the tower. Boosty able to secure the last hit with the Brawl, and now Greasy could be in trouble. He's got the Phantom for himself if it is needed, but he's kept it so far. That's really well played by QC. Spaghetti healing fast across. Boosty still going to go in on the low, and they're going to get impaled. Where is the Fountain? QC, use it! I'm so scared for you, but he's not scared at all. He's keeping the Fountain for the very last minute, and Vox gets the last hit onto Kestrel. Such plays for Impunity. Fountain for Sky will not be enough. They get the double, and this will be a gold mine. How did QC have that much self-control to keep the Fountain?
I guess that is, I don't know. I mean, when we see quarter 4, okay, so if the viewers or you haven't quite realized yet, quarter 4 is usually on the roll, right, for the side of Impunity, but in these past 2 days, we haven't quite seen quarter 4 coming out at all. And QC on this Lance from yesterday as well, we realized that he's just so very patient with his Fountain, and he's patient to the extent where you don't quite, I mean, he remembers to pop it when he eats it, right? But he never ever, at least I've never quite seen it, right? If I have, then I probably missed it, or I can't quite remember, but he hasn't quite popped the Fountain because of selfish reason yet, and it's usually just saved for his team. So, you know, coming into this game, Impunity definitely found himself a very, very good roamer that can just be so patient and so resistant with the Fountain. So I guess it's a good thing for them. But now we are seeing, right, Impunity sitting at close to 4k gold lead over to the side of Renegades. And had they played this way from the start, then, you know, it could have just been the game, you know, since just hour 1 or minute 1. The amount of damage coming out from Blue City now is just so much with the Tension Bolt proc. You jump on the Castro, the root follows in, and Castro just can't quite go anywhere. And with the amount of damage reduction coming out through Blue City's Smite levels and the Smite passive, you know, Castro can't quite put out anything. And Chingy, although he has that Frostbite, but it's not enough control whatsoever from the side. And now
really engaged. Lucy from Hellstar does come out, does not have SNK in the end. That's going to be a triple stun on the actual tower in the end by Spaghetti. And now Lucy's going to take a little bit of damage, but Sky going to go back through the portal, being quite defensive. And Impunity, not with the best engage, but they are able to back off with Renegades, not going to be too aggressive against them. Paul has got a full metal jacket already, and Sky is taking a lot of damage, and that's going to be a special smite to pick up a kill by Blue City. Once again, Impunity, so much more aggressive. They'll dive a little bit of damage, but it just doesn't matter because they get the kill. That's the flare. Come out on Spaghetti, and he could be in a bad position here. Blue City actually going to get the turret though. Well played by Impunity, forcing Kestrel to back off because the flare went out, meaning Kestrel was scared. This will be an easy sentry for Impunity, and Blue City, with that metal jacket, is just such a good build path against this weapon Kestrel.
Yep, and in the first game, we saw Blue City actually did not prioritize on this form of defense. Instead, Blue City immediately just jumped onto, if I remember correctly, someone has to mark me if I'm wrong, went for the reflex block and then immediately onto the tension bow. But this time, Blue City is just withholding that, not tension bow, sorry, what is that called? Tornado trigger. So this time, Blue City actually withholding the build of tornado trigger and just settling for the metal jacket first, which means Blue City can definitely be in the front line, take more damage from Spaghetti. And in the early games, early game, Spaghetti will not have the bones of build at all. Spaghetti on the Castro really wants a double Tyrant's Monaco in order to put out any decent form of damage. So a very good, counter building coming through from Blue City. And as well as QC settled for that metal jacket as well. Then it's now down to DevQ. Whether or not DevQ will go for that Tyrant's Monaco in the last build, or just we saw in the early game, or in the first game itself, we saw an Oak card build there, and we were speculating whether or not the Oak card would turn into Slumbering Us. But this time, DevQ actually picking up that minion's food rather than the Oak card.
Yeah, Impunity. Also, all 3 members are infused. Defq's going to probably repop his once he gets this wave, just to make sure that that is available. I know they're going to actually push the wave in as Minions foot ready for Defq, so that's a guaranteed crit on his first basic attack, despite having only 10% crit chance, because that's a really nice passive. It's probably one of the best items in the game, is that Minions foot. I don't think you can sell and rebuy it anymore because they changed that on Reflex Box. So they probably changed it on Minions Foot as well. Not actually sure if that still works, because there's a little tip in the game that says sell and rebuy this to get the passive back for Minions Foot. So I do wonder. But yeah, once again, infusions. 3 infusions for Impunity. They really love having infusions on their captain. We see a lot of teams go for is their carry and jungler infused? And if they are, then they're ready to fight. But Queasy has decided, no, I need infusions as well. Captains matter too. So he's holding off on his Echo a little bit, has bought 2 infusions, whereas SNK's bought none. And it is helping them in the fights a lot. And obviously with their gold lead, that's a pretty significant. And it will also help them in the fights an awful lot. Cool, once again, still not got a Tornado Trigger. He rushed it last game. He's going so much more tanky this game.
Yep, he is going so much more tanky. And that was what I was talking about in the previous game as well. That Cruel... And it's just down to whether or not Cruel can withstand the amount of damage coming through from RNG. If Cruel can, and Cruel can just be up front and be very personal with RNG, then Cruel can just lay down those stacks, just reduce the amount of damage from Hellstar.
Waiting in the bush, there's from Hellstar over the wall. Gonna pick up the Deathly, trying to 1v1 the Kestrel, but the Crystal Sentry MVP back. What's Impunity going to do now? They're going to focus on Shingy. Lovely towards the Sentry, and Impunity switch focus. The wave is pushed horribly towards their turret. In fact, maybe that's what they want, because the Kestrel is losing out on loads of creeps. Look at Defq CS, he's on 150 creeps, and Spaghetti's stuck on 110. And this wave is going to make Defq's lead even larger, except for that one. Sorry, 2 minions. No, he's going to rush to get it, and he does pick up the last hit. So yeah, Defq is farming so well, and leaving Spaghetti just unable to get anything. Look at how defensive Renegades are. They know they need to stick together. They were in a bad position at this point, and Impunity are kind of free to do whatever they want. Bluxty will maybe pick up a Tornado Trigger if he ever decides to work towards it, but he's just happy with his defense and infusion, while Defq is doing all of the damage. And he is going to go for Husk Defq, so that Minions Foot build buy was just for that one team fight when he wanted to get the guaranteed crit. But he is most likely going to get this Husk last item against Weapon Kestrel.
Yep, and we more often than not do see RNG actually picking up early infusions to try to push that first turret, but we didn't see that coming through from them this game, and the only reason is because Impunity took up and found the opportune moment to actually push the turret. They constantly put down pressure on that first turret, so much so that RNG couldn't find, the space to even breathe, and couldn't just counter turret push. I mean, just looking over to the amount of damage done on Impunity's turret, it is close to nothing. I don't want to say it's nothing. It is about, say, a third health off from that turret, a minusing of the health barrier, of course. But now, because of that, then RNG couldn't quite just pick up that infusion and just try to counter push. As
Renegades know they need to fight. There's gonna be a double Atlas onto the backline, double Githian Wolf though by Queasy. Death Above is not gonna zone anyone away. Arcane Passage used by Lara. His team is now split. Shingy gonna try and run away. Impunity took the bait. They went through the portal even though Shingy was not there. So Impunity, once again, no reason for them to not just start this Kraken again. They're going to force the fight. Maybe that wasn't the best fight for them, but they can just secure this most likely. And if not, just fight. Fountain is up for both Queasy and SNK. One shot does come out, and Defq's going to take the brunt of the damage to wait for it comes through. And now Cool doesn't know what to do. From Hellstar comes out. Is he going to get the stun onto SNK? Yes, it will. He is going to fall to the box in the end. And now Queasy's taking a lot of damage from Shingy. Hasn't got Dragon's Eye, so not building up any stacks, but still doing quite a lot of damage. Kestrel is going to force the Fountain out by Queasy. And now Shingy going to get impaled up. Yes, she will. That's going to be a dead Queasy. No question. Another impale. Echo on the impale by Queasy. That's not something we see every day. And this will finally be a Kraken. Turret is fine. It's going to lose a little bit of damage, but Vox isn't going to worry about that. Kestrel's actually going to go for it though, and I think Defq does not. No, Kestrel's going to get a free turret, and it could be risky though, because if he's going to get caught out, that would be an ace. And is he going to go for the tier 2? Is he going to try and push this way from Port Home?
I personally don't think Spaghetti should go for the tier 2. Oh, Lance spotting
He's going for
Spaghetti
it.
out.
Spaghetti wants it. Spaghetti's like, you know what? We're losing this game. Let's just try and get the... Lance says no. Double Githian wall into the turret he's trying to take down. And this is even better for Impunity. Kestrel not up for another 30 seconds. He can't afford a bone saw when he respawns, so he's going to have... Or an Aegis, so he's going to have to get a weapon infusion and just leave it at that. And the problem with that decision from Spaghetti is, yes, it gets them a turret, but it also possibly loses them the game, doesn't it?
Well, it really depends. It depends, right? I mean, Kraken now is just marching down, and as we all know, that stun landing on Chingy.
That's going to be from Hell's Heart on Shingy and the wait for it, but is it enough damage for Death Above? Lovely, slow into Death Above from Shingy, and now that is Kestrel back in the portal to try and give Kestrel away into the front line, but SNK going to use it to go back into the base. Now Impunity have a very healthy Kraken pushing down the 2 Vein Crystal turrets remaining. Luxy not with it from Hell's Heart for another 25 seconds. Deathdew going to walk away from that Death Above. Luxy though onto the first Vein Crystal turret, and what is Spaghetti going to do? He's low on energy. He's going to try and do as much work as he can. First turret goes down. Atlas, double Githian wall, and another impel onto SNK. Not allowed to fountain. He got stunned out of it. And now Luxy is onto the turret. Deathdew is also on the turret into the Vein Crystal. Last thing remaining. What can Spaghetti do? He's going to be rooted. He's going to be body blocked. Deathdew's going to get the turret. Is he? Is he going to get the Vein? Deathdew is not going to fall. He gets the Vein Crystal. And game 1 in the end goes to Impunity.
Game 1 goes to Impunity, and this is the Impunity that we are so used to seeing, and the Impunity that we constantly praise and just say that they are a very good team, all in all, because of how well they just gel. They are like a well-oiled machine, right? They work in parts, very different from each other, but when you put them all together, they just know what to do. It's just the talk to the tick, or the tick to the talk.
Yeah, certainly. Impunity really showing how to play an aggressive play style. It didn't work out for them at the first game they played, but once it was restarted, they went, right, I've had enough of this. I'm bored of just scaling to late game. Let's go aggressive. Their level 1 rotation was good in the end because obviously they got ahead, but it could have been executed so much better if they'd have picked up boots on Krul and Vox, or maybe... I don't know why, but Vox was a little bit behind where Krul was because he has his Shadows Empower Me perk, giving him a bit of movement speed. And so that means that they spotted out where when Krul was and when Vox were trying to sneak into the bush, and the rotation didn't quite work out as well as Impunity would have wanted, but they still won the fight. So you know it could have been worse. And then yeah, we just saw aggression on top of aggression, and that was really what we want to see from these teams.
Yep, this is definitely what we want to see, but RNG definitely not totally out of the game. It is just a very constructive, aggression coming through from Impunity, and a couple of mistakes made by RNG in the early game, especially when Chingy was caught out by Krul and Lance. But of course, Chingy manages to take down Krul with him, but Lance was just there, able to take him out, and the first fountain close to 4 minutes and 20 seconds, right? That is a fountain that kind of changed the game throughout for the side of Impunity. It allowed them to constantly put pressure on that first turret. Once that first turret actually dropped for the side of Renegades, Impunity just continuously just put on pressure and just so much gank opportunity because they have access to the first part of Renegades jungle, and it's just quite so difficult for Renegades to just farm up, especially Chingy. I personally don't think that Chingy is very comfortable on that Sky, although I mean he has probably just practiced on his Sky, but I think he is more suitable for like the Celeste. We saw him playing Celeste yesterday, and we constantly were criticizing the damage coming out from Celeste, but he pulled through. The late game, he just got damage. But coming to this game and coming to the previous game at least, he just do not quite have that, what is that called? Evasiveness we would expect coming out from a Sky.
Yeah, I think Chingy definitely seems to excel on heroes like Koshka, Grumpjaw, really aggressive early game heroes. And Sky, the scaling poke playstyle doesn't seem to be as comfortable on him. But I guess it was a really good pick against the Krul. Could have worked out, but he had to scale to late game and wasn't allowed to do so by the Krul in the end. So well played by Impunity. They do take the first game. And thinking about this second draft, obviously Vox was first picked by Impunity and now they're on A side, so it's very likely they're going to get it because they're going to force the Black Feather ban. So do you think they're going to do you think that Impunity are going to first pick that Vox or not?
Actually, we don't have to quite speculate because I'm sure draft is ready. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into draft.
So thinking about this first ban, go for it.
Yep. So in response to your question, really, Impunity just seemed very comfortable on this Fox, and even they see this Fox as a threat. They were up against J-Trex yesterday, and they banned out the Vox when they were on the side of B. But now they are on the A side. They will be removing Adagio from Spaghetti's arsenal. So, we see Spaghetti playing Adagio time and time again. He just seems so very comfortable on that hero, and whenever Spaghetti's on the Adagio, we do see Chingy just being the up front, that Ozo, that, just a melee hero just to stand up front and just soak up as much damage for Chingy to put out damage on the back, if not then Fortress as well. But the first phase of ban will come through for Impunity and RNG. It will be that of Adagio and Lyra.
Yep, I'm very surprised with the Vox pick. I was expecting Black Feather. I was kind of hoping they'd pick Black Feather, but Impunity deciding, no, we are just very good on Vox. We're going to pick him. We're going to first pick him. We don't care what your composition is. As long as you haven't got Adagio, we're happy to play Vox in the lane. And so I think Renegade's a smart pick. Just take the Black Feather off the fold. Take it away from, not away from Impunity, but take it away from their ban, because it's most likely going to be the second ban. He's such a strong hero. So much dive. With health being increased, his on-point Faint of Heart execute damage, scaling off 10% missing health, does loads of damage. Really looking forward to seeing how that Black Feather can be played. And it's very likely Shingy's going to go for an aggressive jungler with this. You don't generally see a Sky Feather anymore, because it's not a playstyle that really works together in this patch. We're much more likely to see something like a Koshka, a Taka, or maybe even a Reza. I can only hope, but the cool ban the Ryan ban does indicate we might be seeing something like an Alpha.
Yep, Alpha will be quite big for RNG since Lyra is no longer on the fold. They can definitely use, the Alpha for the side of RNG, but Ardent coming out as a ban from Impunity, and now it is just down to RNG. And we saw from previous game itself that, the side of RNG, or rather both teams, they are very, they just prioritize on their carries rather than their roam picks. So I'm not surprised if RNG actually will go for the Fortress, since it was banned out in the previous game, and Fortress is so strong, and without Rhyme on the fold, they just cannot quite find the counter anyways. Granted, there is still the Sky, but Fortress just does so well against the Sky. And, the side of RNG, they are just so good running the protect the carry comp. And with the Black Feather, you need that Serpent's Mask and the breaking point, and the rest is just basically history, right? You mentioned it before. You don't need quite a lot of items to put out damage because of the Faint of Hearts. And now if they do run the protect the Black Feather comp with alongside that a Fortress, have the extra chase, have the extra bleed, then they don't quite have to be worrying about anything.
I highly doubt they're going to go for Fortress. The main reason Fortress was banned before is because Lyra was picked, and the Mortal Wound of Fortress is really good against Lyra. And Alpha has been picked by Impunity. They listened to me. They wanted to play it, and they are going to play Crystal Alpha in the jungle. Really excited to see how this is going to work out. It's good because if Renegades decide to go for an Assassin last pick, anything like Taka, Koshka, Reza, Alpha does really well against all of them because he's tanky. He's not going to die to your burst. He's going to have an ultimate to sustain through that. Grace is going to even help Vox basically have an Alpha ultimate, going to have basically 2 lives. And they're going to just stick with the Crawl. Shingy, very good on Crawl. It's a really good pick against Alpha, but this does mean it's most likely going to be double weapon. Alpha just needs to get an Atlas, counters both of those heroes really early on. So I think if Impunity build this Alpha correctly, go for Aftershock into Atlas, then build a bit more crystal power, maybe a Clockwork, maybe a Dragon's Eye could work really well, then I think Impunity have got a good draft here.
Yeah, but Impunity, or rather Blue City on that Alpha, really needs to use those ultimates. We saw it yesterday.
That is true. That is a very good point on Alpha.
Yeah, and we saw it yesterday coming up from Impunity, and we just mentioned that Blue City just doesn't seem very comfortable in that Alpha because no ultimates were used until that late game. In the early game, Alpha's ultimate do not quite do a lot of damage, and that is for granted, right? That is for sure, but having that extra damage, and if you can chain it with your prime directives or a core charge, you can definitely get closer to your enemies, and hopefully you just explode in their faces, and it's easier for a carry to just deal on consistent damage afterwards anyways. But I'm really liking the draft coming out from Impunity as well. They have got a box for a very sustained burst, and they have got Alpha as well. They can go into the back lines, eliminate, that of Black Feather. But we cannot quite forget, in the early game, Black Feather, I personally think Black Feather does very well against a Vox because of on point you get a health barrier that is extra sustained for you. And you probably get a Book of Eulogies. Granted, Book of Eulogies have seen enough. No longer gives you, percentage health regen, but just gives you life steal. But I still think that Black Feather does very, very well against this Vox in the early game. If Vox himself pick out, or rather, if Vox picks up one defense and one swift shooter, then Black Feather will be on top of him.
Yeah, the main problem with what Impunity have going against is that they've let Black Feather through. Black Feather is so strong, will just dive onto Vox and won't even care about what Alpha has to say about it. And the reason why I think Impunity's comp is better is because Vox is going to be a breaking point, most likely second, maybe even first item against what Renegades have got. And so if they're focusing Alpha, especially if Cruel is focusing Alpha, Alpha's going to be kind of useless, but it's going to be time built for Vox to build up breaking point stacks. But then again, we just have to see how well they can play against the Black Feather with their Grace ultimates. We are now loading into the Halcyon Fold for the second game between Renegades and Impunity, our first semi-final of today. And it is slightly out of the meta. We're seeing an Alpha being played, especially on A side. You don't tend to see Alpha. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen, but it looks like it's going to be a double defensive rotation.
And we do see, once again, coming out from Blue City, he picks up that, flair for himself, which means it will be very difficult for the side of RNG to actually go in for an early game aggression because of the amount of vision provided by Blue City, and on top of that QC as well. Chingy, and not building the weapon blade in the early game, rather going for that Swifty and into that boost, right? You have your extra attack speed, you can probably build up a lot more stacks with that Swifty and the boots for chase. But in the early game, when a lot of fight will be happening around this Elder Treant, I personally feel that it's much, much better to pick up that. I may have to just hold my thoughts.
Yeah, there's going to be Bluxley going in aggressive with that Prime Directive. Has got a Crystal Bit for a little bit of damage. Shingy going to be using that Shadows Empower Me perk to run away. Has got boost, as you said, so Shingy will most likely be okay. Alpha going in on Spaghetti. Early game damage on Alpha is apparently really high. I've seen this a little bit recently. Alpha can just win fights at level 1. Defq, though, maybe the first one to fall. No, Alpha gets the first blood onto Cruel, and Spaghetti trying to do the plays onto Defq. The baits by Defq. Will it be a delayed ace by Bluxley? Not quite. He's going to try and pick up the backs. This is very risky. Shingy has respawned, and it's stolen away by SNK. Bluxley gets absolutely nothing. And he misses the Prime Directive onto the minion. That's not a good thing for Bluxley. He gets almost nothing away from Cruel and may not even get this healing camp. The fight might not be over. Shingy is back. So is Spaghetti. And yeah, Bluxley is going to secure 0 away from Cruel. And that's really not what you want on Alpha.
Well, that is not what you want, but 2 kills in her pocket, in Alpha's pocket. I'm just gonna call her as in the hero, not the player. So just to point that out, right?
Just so you know. Just so you know.
Just so you know, I know Blue City is a guy, so no flag for that, please. But we know, Alpha getting 2 kills for herself will be very good. It is 300 gold on top of that 200 gold, so that's 500 gold for Alpha. And so she don't quite have to secure any bags for herself from Cruel. It would be better if she had. That would deprive Cruel of any further farm, and Blue City can just get, her items much faster compared to this Cruel. But Chingy just settling for a very, very early defense, and with that Swifty coming out, which means Tension Bow will be delayed on Chingy, whereas looking over to Blue City, we do see the Eclipse Prism and the Chronograph coming out. Not sure what the Prime Directive was for coming out from Alpha, but I guess it's for good uses.
It's going to be an Aftershock, yeah. The Prime Directive for Alpha is to get an Aftershock, and I'm happy with that pun. Spaghetti is rotating down, but there's no shot. Try and help secure this Elder Treant. 3-man versus 3-man trying to secure this. Cruel most likely will be able to because he's allowed to build up over 4 spite stacks. He's going to get it. That is someone by Renegades, and it was Spaghetti in the end with a Faint of Heart or an on point. And both teams, just happy to contest over the Elder Treant and then both back off towards their jungle. Bluxley got a really good level 2 fight, but it doesn't feel that strong around level 3, level 4 to go in against Shingy, because I think the reason why is because Alpha is quite hard to kill at level 1 because most people are very even in terms of the fight, and Alpha, obviously with that reboot, has basically got 2 lives. So if they focus Bluxty, most likely Vox is going to get a kill onto one of them first, and even if Bluxty does fall in reboot, she will not give up first blood on this Alpha. So smart decision to not go too aggressive anymore. And DefQ just farming up a lane. Looks like Impunity no. Spaghetti has rotated down to the jungle shop, so they're now going for an aggressive lane push. And what's going to happen out of this is going to be a nice stun by SNK onto the Alpha. That's a miss onto any of the members, but does hit a minion, so he's not stuck in place. And Renegades going to be not doing anything really.
Yep, Chingy actually picking up a heavy steal and a salvo for himself. We might see a breaking point crew as breaking point on crew as the first item. As what do you think, Mini? Because most of the time we do see that Bonesaw, like you mentioned, if not a tension bow, if not then spell sword. Blue City is very famed for that spell sword crew, but this time on Chingy we are seeing that breaking point coming out.
Yeah, I like the breaking point first on crew. It makes a lot of sense, especially against this, because you're going to build up breaking point stacks on Alpha, then she uses her ultimate, and so if you can build up weakness stacks and breaking point stacks, she'll do almost no damage, and you'll be basically able to kill Alpha quickly, and as soon as you turn on Vox, he's going to melt, because you've got 15 breaking point stacks maybe. It's a smart build by Shingy. The fights are going to last quite a while, especially once Grace gets an ultimate. That's just going to prolong the fights even further. And Shingy wants to tank up quite a lot, so after he gets that breaking point, he needs to get a lot of defense. Probably double, maybe even a reflex block instead. No, he's going to get double defense. That's smart. Shingy's just got to survive. So does the Black Feather, kind of. Or Black Feather works more as an assassin who builds sustain. It's kind of an odd build path that Black Feather has at the moment, but it just works out for him.
Yep, I really like the rotation coming up from Impunity. I know it is nothing, worthy of a shout out, but we do see a very intelligent usage of the ambient gold, right? We do see QC earlier on just going down to shop, and instead of actually, having Alpha go back to shop, instead Alpha actually head up to lane just for the extra ambient from DefQ, and that way they don't quite waste gold away, as we see from a lot of other teams actually just wasting away the extra gold that they can actually get if they do have a perfect rotation. Chingy now spotted out by that flare, and a root lands on both Impunity members.
Double Gethian Wall, double Impale, but there's going to be no follow-up because they are under turret, and Shingy, unlike what Bluxty was doing in the last game on, is being way more defensive and not just going, I'm going to dive on ultimate, let's just see what happens, start a team fight. And I reckon that actually Renegades would win a team fight right now, despite the fact Alpha's got a really big power spike, a major power spike at level 6 with an aftershock. Shingy and Spaghetti have got 2 power spikes with ultimate on both of them. Spaghetti can just dive forever with his 2 Rose offensive charges, and Shingy with the from Hell's Heart. I think Renegades have really got the better power spike at the very moment, mainly because Vox just isn't anywhere. He's got his Poison Shiv, hasn't quite got breaking point yet, but they don't want to fight because they're clearly scared of this Alpha, who really is something to be scared of at the moment.
Yep, I mean the Alpha has got an aftershock, and as you mentioned, it is quite a big power spike for Blue City, but then Chingy has got that defense item just to block out against the burst coming out from Aftershock, and on top of that as well has got an infusion in his pocket, but a fight will break out.
Yeah, a little bit of a fight. Wait for it. It's used. Alpha going to be going in. Infusion pot by Shingy. Shingy thinks the fight is going to happen too. Blue City, couple of core charge stacks, looking to get a third. We'll be able to do so on Shingy. Now the Prime Director is going to do a lot of damage. There it is, on to the backline, forcing a fan. Senke. Blue City has got an ultimate available, and he doesn't pop it. Faint apart from Black Feather, stopping the Alpha ultimate. But Blue City is going to not respawn, but going to get through that ultimate and survive. Now Shingy is the last one left alive. He will fall. Prime Director doesn't quite land, but Box with the double. Can Box get the triple? Black Feather has got boots and will survive under the turret. But Blue City doesn't manage to get the termination protocol off. As we were talking about before the game, I don't think that was his fault. Black Feather did 500 execute damage. It's kind of hard to predict that with your ultimate. But Impunity are able to get this turret not quite dead, but down low, and Alpha with the Prime Directive does sneak it. But Black Feather does manage to pick up a kill, and now Impunity trying to get the turret again, but they haven't got any minions. You need minions to take turrets down, and Shingy is going to be there in time. So tier 1 turret does not fall in the end.
Yep, but caught very low, and that Prime Directive actually did quite a considerable amount on that turret, and at the same time Alpha could just head up to lane and remove Spaghetti from the team fight. So Alpha now just sitting very strong, 3 0-1, and the entire team of Impunity, in fact, you know, the carries are all on perfect KD at this point in time. Their turret is looking very, very healthy as compared to Renegades. And although we say that Renegade and that Black Feather is just so strong in the current meta, but it looks like Impunity may just see, you know, a way to actually just counter this with Vox, and thus they are just prioritizing Vox every single game. If they don't have it, they will just ban it out.
It certainly is a priority pick for DefQ. Seeing with it on point, a little bit of poke, and Shingy is in the top bush. Blue expects it. I think DefQ being very low in the... And QC does not spot Shingy with that flare. So Shingy is safe in the top bush, not being spotted out, and Bluxty looking to get a quarter of stack. That's the first one. Shingy going to go in though. DefQ Sonic's him away. Lovely waiting for it. Signs up two members now. Spaghetti taking a lot of damage. Alpha got the quarter of stacks up. Has been Atlas, but has got the prime directive in 1 second. There it is. Is it going to go onto the Black Feather? Is it going to be on Cool? It misses everyone, and Fox goes down to Black Feather in the end. Now Bluxty is left alive. He's still not got his Dragon's Eye yet, which will be really important for these elongated team fights. But Shingy with that breaking point, and Black Feather with a breaking point, is they're both hoping these fights are going to last a very long time. Vox did go down first, and now QC is the target on this race. Atlas does land onto Alpha. QC is going to use the block and the fountain on himself. He hasn't got an ultimate charge, but that is going to be diving turrets, and in the end, Crawl does fall, trying to get down to turret. Now Spaghetti left blood. Prime directive doesn't quite land, but there's Termination Protocol popped very early from Bluxty just to make sure that he does use that ultimate, and Spaghetti forced to back off.
Yep, Spaghetti will head down into the jungle shop and just probably just buy that Atlas Pauldron, and we'll be heading up back to lane. Hopefully just hold on to his turret, but it will not quite be happening. And yet another fight will be happening.
Turret's gone down, and that is a lovely prime directive from up the kill on Spaghetti. Alpha with loads of damage didn't quite manage to go to the shop and pick up either a Shatter Glass or a Dragon's Eye. I'd expect to see Dragon's Eye on this Alpha, but the tier 1 turret, so he does fall. Tier 2 is the next target. DefQ gets impaled, but he doesn't care. Atlas is up in 1 second for SNK. He can use it, but turret falls to Bluxty already. Now SNK is the next target from Hellstar, goes into Alpha, has not got the ultimate for 12 seconds. They're literally forced to boots away. Full stacks from Cool. Smite probably would have picked the prime directive, wanted to go in, but it's not quite enough. And Vox, 13 breaking point stacks. Here we go. Vox is stacked. DefQ is playing so well on this Vox. That's another kill on Alpha this time, and that's another prime directive on Spaghetti. Is he going to be able to survive? Love, second ultimate. Will it be enough? Bluxty and the prime directive will be enough with the plays. Bluxty's going to use an ultimate to keep himself available, and this tier 3 turret, Impunity, looking so strong.
Yep, they are definitely looking very, very strong, and very nice use of the termination protocol coming out from Blue City. I apologize for saying that you are not comfortable on this Alpha, right? A big public apology, I guess. I mean, today, he just looked so much stronger as compared to yesterday when they were up against J-Trex Inferno. Like, maybe it is what you've mentioned, it's just that he didn't quite find the chance to use it. Maybe he was tapping on it super aggressively, but it just didn't quite happen for him. But today's game, it just looks so different from Blue City. Blue City on this Alpha just looked so different from the Alpha he was playing in yesterday's game. But now, looking over at the gold lead, the side of Impunity, you would think that they had a far extended and a large gold lead taking down the anchor turret of RNG. But till now, they still have got a 4K, a 3K plus 4K gold lead.
Yeah, not a massive gold lead, only as you said 4,000, but the map pressure and just the sense that Impunity are so far ahead is really making Renegade be so passive. If they knew they were only 4k gold behind, they'd probably be a bit more aggressive and look to fight. But because it feels like they are about 7k gold behind, they just don't want to go anywhere near. And Bluxty, I said he needs to get Aftershock, Dragon's Eye, it's Aftershock Atlas, then they're working to either Clockwork or Dragon's Eye. He's got 3 of them. He's got Aftershock, Dragon's Eye, and Atlas, which is such a big counter onto the side of Renegade. They've got a double weapon, double attack speed comp. Alpha just counters all of that with her Atlas. Grace has got an Atlas as well. And so Impunity really looking strong. They're pushing their gold lead towards about 5,000 once they get this gold mine. If they decide to, yep, they're going to start this up. And really, what is Renegade going to do? Are they going to try and steal it and die? Or are they going to try and steal it and maybe survive? but I assume Impunity will not let this happen. Just turn and fight. Yeah, DefQ is in a very aggressive positioning. He's going to start the fight up, and he's going to get this. Lance impales in, and that's a lovely stun from Grace with the Holy Nova onto Lance, stopping that engage. Atlas does land onto the box, and Blackfeather is surviving quite a while. Love first ultimate from Grace, no echo yet, so cannot get a second one. DefQ trying to kite for as long as possible. Will be some of them house art, and DefQ is going to get fight as long as possible. Alpha though has got 9 Dragons Ice stacks. I'm pretty sure that's a prime directive for a kill for Alpha. Give him the triple. Will he be able to? So yes, the Blue City is apparently not comfortable on Alpha, but he just got a triple kill, Luxurious.
That's why I just made, you know, that apology, that public apology mid-stream, mid-broadcast, because Blue City is just playing so well today, and just looking over at his KDA, he is sitting at 9-0-2, so perfect KDA for Blue City. Blue City definitely using an extra health that, you know, SEMC has bestowed onto this Alpha, and placed it into very, very good users right here. Although DevQ was first to go down, he is seen as a threat, right, going into any team fights. You know, the entirety of RNG is like, okay, try our best to take down DevQ first, and then afterwards we can, you know, just, you know, think whether or not we want to take down Blue City. But
afterwards we can think. Afterwards you're going to die to Alpha. That's the problem, isn't it?
That is why. You see, DevQ has got a breaking point. You don't take down DevQ first, he will have a ton of stacks. If you don't take down Blue City first, he'll have a ton of stack as well with that Dragon's Eye. So it is quite a dilemma for RNG, and I personally think they have got double breaking points. So you would think that in general they can kind of just out-sustain, out-fight, out-duel the side of Impunity, but the amount of burst coming out from both of these heroes, whoa!
There's going to be some damage by Blue City, and DefQ's going to be the one dived on. Shingy and Spaghetti are going right, all in. Let's kill DefQ. Double Atlas onto DefQ and Blue City in the end. Lots of damage coming out. DefQ's going very low. There's the ultimate from Grace. Does heal him up in time, but Blackfeather is going to be staying alive for now. Alpha picking up some Dragon's Eye stacks. The fight's been going in about 10 seconds. Blue City's going to be stacked up. He's full health. He's got a double. He is a nightmare on this Alpha. Shingy's got nothing, despite the fact that Paul supposedly counters Alpha. Blue City is just keeping up on this Alpha. Going to get 3 core charge stacks at the moment, so if Cool does decide to come anywhere near, Alpha's just going to burst him down with that Prime Directive. This will be most likely backed, and another Sentry life taken by Impunity. I don't know what the play is for Renegade at the moment. They're diving in on Vox and they're killing him, but then they've got a full health Alpha with 9 Dragon's Eye stacks with an ultimate available, and you just don't know what to do. She's got an Atlas, she's got a Crucible, because what's the point in buying Aegis against double weapon? There isn't one, you might as well pick up a Crucible. And once Blue City gets this, actually we're going to see a Broken Myth, not Clockwork. So, because he's not being killed under reboot, so what's the point in going for more reboot speed? Just go for pure damage. They're going to build an Aegis on you, so get yourself a Broken Myth against that. And yeah, don't question Blue City's Alpha. He knows what he's doing apparently.
Well, I mean, 2 seconds reboot to mainstream, right? I mean, if I don't even answer a reboot, then why do I even need a 2 seconds reboot? That would probably be what is going through Impunity's or Blue City's head right now, right? I mean, all in all, if you are building the Clockwork, which means you are really just prepared to go in and just to use your termination protocol when you're at max Dragon Eye stack, hopefully burst every single person player down on the opposing team. Obviously with the core charge of your terminal, not terminal, what is that called? The prime directives, right? You try to use those first. If you go down, you go down with a bang. But Blue City don't quite see the need for a Clockwork whatsoever. If you don't die, you don't quite need the 2 second reboot. So, you know, honestly, Impunity now, just coming in with the plays, you would usually expect something like, you know, the comp coming out through, rather the plays coming through from Infamous. But now at this point, you know, Impunity just looks so very strong. The Alpha just left unchecked in every single team fight. It's just so problematic, and it's so rare in competition at this level to actually hear Nightmare, right? Ella, it's a Nightmare. It's just so tough to even catch a glimpse of Nightmare, and there you have it on Blue City. You see the Nightmare coming out. Now the Kraken is being stolen.
Kraken's gonna be started up by Renegade.
Take it.
That's the play. Renegade going for why not? Let's try and steal this Kraken. Lovely from start. And DefQ. He's going to take a lot of damage. Triple Atlas was a pop. Now Spaghetti going to go in, but DefQ going to get that lovely Divine Intervention. Heal, Echo was used second Divine Intervention. Will it be enough? Alpha gets the guns of Black Feather. That's the 12th kill. Will he get 13th? No, Grace gets it. Vox gets the last one. And that is Impunity with an ace just out of nothing. They just deal so much burst damage, and they will most likely finish the game here. Luxty just deciding that, yeah, the draft was pretty good for Impunity, but I didn't think it would be this good.
Yeah, but I mean, they are just looking so very comfortable on all these, on the heroes they are at. And had Renegades actually watched yesterday's game, Renegades would probably just be building or just banning out that Fox. I mean, I have written this down, and Impunity, they themselves have played Fox time and time again, and they just pretty much wreck. I don't like to use the word wreck, but Impunity just looking so strong on this Fox. And if ever, right, Impunity now going on to the finals, if they meet up with Brand Esports or Elite 8, I recommend any of these teams to just ban out Fox against Impunity. Granted, they are, after all, at the end of the day, Impunity, they will have other comms under the sleeves, but at this moment, Fox just seems so strong.
A little bit of free draft advice for Brand Esports or Elite 8, whoever manages to get through to the final. First ban Vox against Impunity. That's what we're being told by Luxuria. And so if they lose the draft thanks to that ban, it's not your fault anymore. It's Luxuria's fault. I kind of agree with you. You just can't give DefQ his Vox. It's such a comfort pick. And it's one of those things where, yeah, you had the Black Feather. You had possibly the strongest hero in the meta this patch, but it wasn't enough because DefQ was too comfortable on Vox. He would kite for ages, he'd Sonic Zoom around everywhere, build up those breaking point stacks, and even if he ended up falling, he did enough damage so that Alpha could come through with so much damage. 12-0 in the end. I think that is the best KDA we've seen so far. I don't think anyone else has got 12 kills without dying.